Trusonians, happy Wednesday. It is February 26th, 2025 at 8:27 a.m. DMV Standard Time. I got the hunch to hit record, and so here we are. What you're looking at is a group of major arcana and one card from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck that I have been working with since 2023. Slowly but surely, as I meditate on these particular cards, messages have been coming through that literally has been blowing my mind. I often think about the term lose your mind. And I've even come across a few people that challenge me to look at it differently, to say that losing my mind is not such a bad thing and that it happens in phases. And then as one portion of it is removed, a more enriched and elaborate version is replaced. Is in that in the death and the rebirth of what you think you know versus what you know versus the things change every moment and then you are revised, and the cycle and the seasons and the phase lines of how we know what we know or what it is that we thought we knew no longer applies, and just the rotating sequence of information and how it will enrich or hinder or help that what it is that we figure we know, individually and collectively. So within, so without. And so from the micro to the macro, from within the personal, the intrapersonal, to the outer, the interpersonal. And no doubt about it, if you are on USA soil, you have been groomed and educated from the interpersonal lens, person to person. Very rarely are we taught from a intrapersonal standpoint, the relationship that one has with itself. And I've been on a hunt to truly understand what it meant to know thyself. This journey started in 2008. And back then, I had no idea what I was in for in terms of intuitive scholarship, meaning that I did not sit in someone's classroom to get an official credential about what it is that I know. I tapped into my inner voice and I allowed that to be my teacher while I so humbly sat as a student. I had to learn and tussle with patience and understanding what it meant to know things in sequence and to begin highly regarding that thing called context, and how terms and conditions can vary depending on person, place, or thing. It's interesting and have always been interesting to me how one word can mean so many different things to so many different people, and the neglect to say, what do you mean by that? Or elaborate. And then we actually stand astute, open to receive what it is that the person means when they say this, that, or a third. And it can get quite complicating, especially since we are inside of a social tapestry that demands we get to know one another, that demands we relate person to person, that demands we're respected and regarded and upholded. And I've found out that usually the missing gaps come in our ability to relate or the lack thereof. Somehow, some way, this super absorbent expectation of already knowing what somebody mean when they say it, to the point where we bypass clarification. My life path number is 7. So I am a seeker by nature. I am totally intrigued at the differences and the uniqueness of the individual and how that is then tapped into the collective. I've always been this way. I just now have words to be able to make differentiations and uphold distinctions. I am fascinated by our differences and how yet it still finds a way to connect. I often think that it would be a very boring life if we were all the same, if we were all part of the Cogswell cogs. And I've been talking about this for years. I used to be ashamed that I was the odd bird. I used to be so ruffled. I used to feel so sorrowful that I didn't fit in. And what's interesting is that that abundance of weight didn't come until I got into the professional world. In high school, I wore it as a badge that I wasn't really part of a clique and I could hop from friendships to friendships, not in terms of my one-on-one friendships. I'm a Capricorn, so I probably have about 3 good, really good friends. Everyone else are associates and they adhere to my curiosities about people and their behaviors. Why did you do that or did not do that? Say that or did not say that? I'm very intrigued, honestly, sincerely intrigued at the uniqueness of a person and then how that person does whatever it does to blend and harmonize in the greater scheme called human life. So, once again, I am going to make way and attempt to do a series that explains what each of these cards have meant to me in sequence, individually, and collectively. I am not someone who studies tarot to tell anyone about what's happening in their life, what's going on with their boyfriends, their girlfriends. I don't do romantic readings. I don't even really do readings for other people. I have learned the language of tarot and oracle cards so that I can understand me. There's only a handful of tarot readers that I have bumped into that actually utilize the language of the cards for intra-personal development. And that's what I'm all about. Most people who I am involved with in my physical life have I was going to say have a challenge, but they tussle. They tussle a lot with the fact that I have studied the cards the way that I have, figuring that I am on some level that will spook their soul. And even during this time, I've had to learn that those are their projections and not mine, because a few questions will get you to better understand what I utilize the cards for. But stereotypes are alive and well, and they still run rampant in the 21st century, which is baffling to me. But yet and still, here we are. I don't do love spells. I don't wish harm. I have a motto, no malice in the palace, meaning that I am very keen on what my heart will churn in and churn out. And I've been working on this for years. And it's not an easy feat to have to always be scrutinizing oneself so that it does not get gobbled up in the social stigmas, in the terms and conditions by which we've been propagated to believe and live and be passionate about. And sometimes it feels like a blessing, sometimes it feels like a curse. Sometimes I feel like a nut, sometimes I don't. But discovering me has never changed. To know thyself has always been the mission. And because of this, I've tapped into several different religions. I've tapped into several different languages and cultures and societal behaviors, the pros and the cons. And like I said, this isn't anything that I even set out to do. I just trusted that the voice that was giving me these inner instructions wouldn't lead me astray. Now, did it lead me away from people and these social aspects and these groups, this group thought? Yes, it did, which put me on the outside of popularity. It put me on the outside of speaking about things that people are um, accumulative interested in. Yeah, most of the time, the stuff that I have to speak about, I have to fight for space. I've stopped doing that because I really do believe that my posting it is where my responsibility stops. To share what I am discovering is my only responsibility. Whatever is done with it, post that, I have nothing to do with. So here we are. And we're going to talk about card number, we're going to talk about the major arcana that's in this photo, especially in conjunction to Mother Earth. To feel loved and comforted. Love is another multifaceted, multi-dimensional term, and it does not just mean romance. To dwindle love down to just romance ruffles my feathers. Yet again, something that ruffles my feathers. I am going to remind you that I am an odd bird. And so when I hear love being reduced to romance, I think about how, and you know what? I'm thinking about Sister Myra Moss, and it's not Mother Earth, it's Mama Universe and Daughter Earth. And I think about how these two archetypes have been reduced down to nothing. That that the soil of this third dimension, that which brings forth life, gets reduced down to nothing. And truth be told, there is nothing inside of this realm, the third dimension, daughter earth, that can grow without soil. And feminine energy is soil. It's darkness, it's enrichment, it's healing, it's solitude, it's clarity, but it takes a tussle. Anything that grows above the soil has had to tussle to get and break surface. And I've always been talking about, as an individual, inside of each individual human experience, keenly paying attention to the parts that you cannot see, the non physical, the intangibles. And so Major Arcana number 8, which is strength in some decks. Is it strength? And does it interchange? No, it's always 8. Okay. So, Major Arcana number 8, which is strength. Major Arcana 14, which is temperance. Major Arcana 4, which is the Emperor. Major Arcana 9, which is the Hermit. And then Mama Universe, Daughter Earth, Feel Love, and Comforted. And so this is the introduction to this group of cards, this cluster of cards. And I'm going to see how far I can go with just sharing my thoughts on each card, how it has showed up in my world, and what it meant, so that we can begin to construct and connect by context, because context is very important. Because as I said in the beginning, one word, one term can mean a multitude of things. So to sift through certain meanings so that we can get on the same page, we can ride the same wave, we can be within the same rhythm, that's the goal. I'm challenging some people's goals over the summer. That's the goal. So until next time, I do wish you well.